the guide to purifying the mind. How to truly enter the path to liberation is a crucial practical issue for beginners. If one doesn't first purify the mental continuum and align the mind with the path to liberation, even studying and practicing profound teachings will yield little effect. This is because, without taming coarse afflictions and establishing a foundation, it's difficult to touch the ultimate truth. Out of compassion for ordinary beings burdened by coarse afflictions and unable to enter the path, the omniscient Mipham Rinpoche composed this guide. If beginners dedicate themselves to practicing this teaching, they may attain liberation in this very life. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas don't deceive us. As long as you focus on this practice, you can attain liberation and reach the Buddha fields at will. The great master said, "One is qualified to be reborn in the Pure Land but can choose not to go." What does this mean? It means the admission letter has been issued to you, but you can choose to take a gap year. This offer isn't valid for only 1 year, it's valid forever. You can also choose to go there in your next lifetime. In other words, you are qualified, but don't necessarily have to go there now. This is what the great masters meant. Let's practice this teaching earnestly. If you attain the first fruition, or higher, you will not be reborn in the realm of enlightened and unenlightened beings coexisting, but in the realm of skillful means with remainder. In the realm of skillful means with remainder, there are no ordinary beings, and the imparted teachings are also different. In the Pure Land of ultimate bliss, the realm of enlightened and unenlightened beings coexisting is further divided into 9 grades. Namo Guru. To receive the Guru's supreme blessings in body, speech, and mind, we pay homage to him. This is a Mahayana practice, different from Hinayana practices. From the very beginning, Mahayana practice sets distinct requirements. This guide comprises 3 parts: preliminary practice, actual practice, and concluding practice. The preliminary practice is divided into 6 parts. 1. Adopt a proper meditation posture. 2. Arouse enthusiasm for the practice. 3. Visualize the field of merit. 4. Make 7 branch offerings to the field of merit. 5. Pray for the success of this meditation session. 6. Generate bodhicitta. Mahayana practice also requires practicing the path to liberation. Don't assume that after engaging in Mahayana practice, you become a first ground bodhisattva directly. That's not the case. Practicing the 10 virtuous actions with bodhicitta is also practicing the bodhisattva path. After generating bodhicitta, practicing the 10 virtuous actions is not merely following the human and heavenly vehicle, and practicing the path to liberation is not just following the Shravaka and Pratyeka Buddha vehicle. Instead, it's practicing the Mahayana Bodhisattva path. Therefore, whether your practice is Mahayana or Hinayana depends on your aspiration, not on what teaching you practice. If your intention is, "I shall attain Buddhahood first and then liberate sentient beings," then at best you can attain a Hinayana fruition, because your motivation is a Hinayana one. I shall attain Buddhahood first and then liberate sentient beings, is a Hinayana motivation, no matter what teaching you practice. Even if you practice the great perfection, you are still a Hinayana practitioner. If you have generated bodhicitta, then whatever you practice becomes Mahayana. Even if you sweep the floor or sell tofu, you are a Mahayana practitioner. If you sell tofu with bodhicitta, everyone who eats it will eventually attain Buddhahood. This is different. 1. Adopt a proper meditation posture. When practicing the guide to purifying the mind, stay in solitude and adopt a meditation posture that supports concentration. Solitude refers to a place far from the hustle and bustle, without visitors during the day or noise at night. Therefore, we don't necessarily need to practice in sacred places, like caves where enlightened beings once stayed, believing they carry special blessings. The Buddha never said this. In fact, whether a place is sacred depends on your mind. If you have faith, any location can be holy. Did the great masters of the past always live in sacred sites? Actually, they often practiced in charnel grounds, not holy places. Yet they attained realization swiftly. In reality, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas pervade all space with universal blessings. They won't designate a particular cave as more blessed. The key factor is the person, not the place. Places are lifeless. Only enlightened beings have blessings. How can a cave give blessings? Only Buddhas and Bodhisattvas can bless us. What blessings can a cave possess? None. Even the Buddha's Vajra seat holds no blessings. Only the Buddha has blessings. The Vajra seat is mere stone. Even if it were gold, it would still have no blessings. If it did, why haven't the people there attained Buddhahood? The Buddha's Vajra seat is right there, but why doesn't it bless them to practice the Dharma? Furthermore, as for empowerment, I give it every day. Isn't teaching the Dharma an empowerment? Must it involve placing a hat and sprinkling water on your head to count as empowerment? In reality, empowerment is like inheriting a throne. Whether you wear the emperor's crown or not, you are the emperor. You may wear the crown during court sessions, but even without it, your status doesn't change. No one would deny that you're the emperor. As long as people acknowledge you, you belong to that lineage. Of course, some may not recognize you, but that doesn't matter. Their lack of recognition doesn't negate your position. Likewise, if you attain enlightenment, will you care whether others recognize you? If you attain Buddhahood and someone thinks you haven't, does it matter? Therefore, in spiritual practice, don't cling to superficial appearances. We should pursue the truth. These concepts are skillful means to guide those who haven't entered the path, like preschool children. It's effective because they don't meditate on impermanence or non-self. They rely on external forms for refuge. Thus, messages like this cave has blessings, this robe has blessings, or this place has blessings, are just ways to guide these children. How could Buddhas and Bodhisattvas harbor such a strong sense of discrimination? For those training their minds, what matters is choosing a quiet place. Too noisy environments might be challenging for beginners. Observe and choose a relatively peaceful environment. This is the pattern of ordinary beings. When they are in places where enlightened beings once meditated, they think of those masters and thus receive blessings. It's because they have reverence for the enlightened ones. The blessings come from the enlightened ones, not from the sight. Arrange your practice time to ensure you won't be disturbed. Close the door, turn off or silence your phone, and create a relatively quiet environment for yourself as much as possible. Settle your family affairs and make arrangements for matters after your death. Why prepare for death? It's because before starting a meditation session, you should recognize that you might die during this session. Otherwise, once seated, your mind might wander to future plans. When you ask yourself, if I die during this session, can I attain enlightenment? You dare not think about anything else. If you were to be executed tomorrow and had only today to practice, would you think about anything? You would diligently recite the Buddha's name or mantras without pondering anything else, right? We should practice with this kind of spiritual urgency without useless thoughts. If you were to die tomorrow, how would you practice today? What would you do today? With this attitude, who wouldn't attain enlightenment? Everyone would. I assure you that if you progress quickly, you will attain realization in 7 days. If you progress slowly, you will achieve it within 7 months. If you think, I will die tomorrow, you will practice for 24 hours today. Will you still afford to sleep? If you practice with this spiritual urgency, no one will fail to attain realization. Alas, we are squandering our lives. A posture that supports concentration refers to the 7-point meditation posture of Vairocana. 1. Sit in the Vajra posture, either in full lotus, half lotus, or comfortably cross-legged. 2. Keep your body upright. 3. Form the meditation mudra. Place the left hand below and the right hand on top. The thumb tips gently touch each other. Rest the hands near the navel. 4. Keep your arms slightly open, not tucked in. 5. Tilt your head slightly forward. 6. Typically, gaze downward at your nose tip. Keep your eyes slightly open to allow a little light in. 7. Rest your tongue against the upper palate. Generally speaking, during meditation, keep your entire body relaxed without tension. If you are not sitting upright, you cannot relax. It's like stacking objects. If they are not aligned properly, can they keep balance? Once you release your hands, they will collapse. They only stay together if you hold them in place. But when they are stacked upright, they remain stable on their own. Likewise, when you sit upright, you can truly relax. This posture helps calm the mind for practice. When the body is upright, the energy channels are upright. When the energy channels are upright, the mind is upright. An upright mind means there are few distracting thoughts. Therefore, we should cultivate this habit. Our left and right energy channels are associated with distracting thoughts. When the mind is upright, the central channel opens easily. Even if there is still some blockage, it is close to the fully unblocked state. It's like a pipe. When bent, it clogs. When straightened, it flows freely. Similarly, clear energy channels naturally reduce mental distractions. By maintaining an upright posture in meditation, you naturally have fewer wandering thoughts and less drowsiness. Drowsiness and wandering thoughts occur when our posture is not upright. Many people sit like a hunchback. That's incorrect. You should sit upright, as if you are balancing something on your head, or as if a string is gently lifting your crown chakra upward. Then, relax your body. This approach prevents complete slackening, yet keeps your entire body relaxed. If you slacken entirely, you will slouch. Maintain an upright spine with an upward force. Try this. Will your mind still run away? As I mentioned earlier, the first thing in meditation is to sit upright. When reciting mantras or the Buddha's name, use 10% to 20% of your attention to periodically check if your body is upright. Once you develop this habit, your spine will naturally be straight, and you won't need to pay attention to it anymore. You can then focus entirely on your recitation. When reciting mantras, turn your attention inward. Don't look outward. Ask yourself, who is reciting? As you chant and listen, watch the source of your thoughts. I taught you this the other day. If you practice this way, you will progress swiftly. When reciting mantras or the Buddha's name, watch the source of your thoughts and look inward. In the beginning, since wandering thoughts may arise, use 10% to 20% of your attention to focus on your breath. Gradually regulate your breath. Then, recite the mantra while watching the source of your thoughts. When you pay attention to these four aspects, your mind is less likely to wander. Over time, your distracting thoughts diminish, your body sits upright, and your breath naturally becomes even. At that point, you no longer need to pay attention to your breath or posture. You can then concentrate on reciting and listening to the mantra. By guarding the source of your thoughts and preventing them from wandering, you can fully immerse yourself in the mantra. You will naturally abide in the source of your thoughts while reciting without needing to guard it. In the beginning, however, you need to guard the source of your thoughts. Otherwise, the mind will wander, right? Watch there while reciting the mantra. Over time, this watching will no longer be necessary. The mind will gradually settle, and your focus will rest entirely on the mantra. You won't distinguish whether the recitation comes from inside or outside. You will recite selflessly. This state is attainable through training. Those who have uprooted self-grasping can recite mantras selflessly, and the power of blessings is distinct. The difference between states with and without self is immense. When reciting mantras in a selfless state, you bless all beings in the dharma realm. If you cling to a sense of self, however, you will only bless yourself and not benefit others. See how different it is to generate bodhicitta versus not generating it. When you maintain a proper meditation posture, your body is free from fatigue, your mind is clear, and you can sit for a long time. It brings many supreme benefits. After sitting in a proper posture, we need to expel impure energies. This is because we have accumulated many afflictions and subtle karmas. When you sit down, first visualize these impure energies in your body, which result from creating negative karma. When you commit unwholesome karma, the energy in your body becomes defiled. After expelling these defiled energies, your karmic energy becomes purer. Practice the 9-round breathing exercise to expel stale air through the nostrils. 2. Arouse enthusiasm for the practice. The only way to develop a joyful attitude towards the practice is to cultivate renunciation diligently. Reflect on the difficulty of obtaining the freedoms and advantages, and so on, to inspire enthusiasm for the practice. This is not something developed during sitting meditation. We must cultivate a qualified renunciation during the preliminary training. As I mentioned earlier, those with strong renunciation upon sitting are free from wandering thoughts and feel eager to practice. Contemplate. What if I die tomorrow? I must attain enlightenment today to die without regret. We must attain the first fruition, realizing selflessness. It's not difficult to realize no self in person. Everything I've explained so far is to tell you that this goal is not difficult to reach. Reflect on the rarity of obtaining a human life and the suffering of samsara. From beginningless time, we have remained trapped in the cycle of birth and death. Though we may sometimes yearn for liberation, we either lack knowledge of the path or fail to practice wholeheartedly even when we know the methods. This half-hearted commitment occurs because we haven't cultivated a qualified renunciation and always follow our habitual tendencies. We must devote ourselves to dharma practice. Today, we have not only encountered the precious dharma, but also have the chance to practice it. This is our opportunity to uproot the cycle of reincarnation. Through persistent meditation practice, we will reach completion, marking our final liberation from samsara. Once we attain the first fruition, we will say goodbye to the cycle of birth and death. Though innate self-grasping remains, we no longer need to fear. In this way, we will develop a joyful attitude towards dharma practice. Who would refuse to practice a method that can transcend samsara? Let's reflect from the perspective of karma. Except for rare cases that rely on the power of the field of merit, without renunciation or the insight of selflessness, whatever you do only creates karma that keeps the cycle of reincarnation going. Only with renunciation or the insight of non-self can we create karma conducive to liberation. By meditating on the multiplicity, impermanence, suffering, and selflessness of the 5 aggregates, we can truly plant the seeds of liberation and eliminate the ingrained and harmful attachments in our mental continuum. Moreover, because this teaching is the direct antidote, the deeper we practice it, the more we will tame afflictions and purify our mental continuum. Contemplating this, we will arouse great joy in the practice. Alternatively, we can reflect on the immense merit. Meditating on this teaching is equivalent to practicing the essence of countless scriptures. Even a moment's reflection is immeasurably more meritorious than making offerings to the 3 jewels for 1,000 heavenly years. By practicing this teaching well, we can achieve samatha and vipassana easily. When we later practice the profound and vast Mahayana teachings, like emptiness and great compassion, we will have a solid foundation. It's like the ground a bird takes off from. Without this foundation, all subsequent practices are futile. All teachings on wisdom are based on this. It is the foundation of all Dhamma practices. 3. Visualize the field of merit. Visualizing the field of merit is crucial. Don't underestimate its importance. In the space above your head, visualize clearly. On a jewel throne supported by 8 great lions, there is a seat of a lotus, sun, and moon. On this seat, Buddha Shakyamuni sits in the Vajra posture. The Buddha's body is golden, adorned with 32 major marks and 80 minor marks of excellence. He wears the 3 monastic robes. His right hand rests on his knee in the earth, touching mudra, and his left hand forms the meditation mudra, holding a nectar bowl. Like a great golden mountain rising from the ocean, the Buddha's golden body is majestic and radiant, filling all space with the light of wisdom. To the Buddha's right is the Mahayana Sangha, represented by the 8 great bodhisattvas such as Manjushri and Samantabhadra. To his left is the Shravaka Sangha, represented by the 16 arhats, including Shariputra and Maudgalyayana. An ocean-like assembly of enlightened beings surrounds the Buddha. This is the field of refuge in the Sutrayana tradition. In the refuge field of the Vajrayana tradition, the Vajra Guru sits right below the Buddha. The Guru is at the center of the refuge field, with the Buddha above and Bodhisattvas to the right. Bodhisattvas are also part of the Mahayana Sangha and are not necessarily ordained. A Mahayana Sangha member is not necessarily a monastic. So, don't assume that all members of the Sangha are ordained. Those who have attained the first Bodhisattva ground or higher are part of the Sangha and are certainly part of the 3 jewels. Therefore, don't say those who are not ordained are lay people. This is not the case. For example, Vimalakirti was a Buddha's incarnation. At the very least, Bodhisattvas of the first ground or higher are part of the Sangha regardless of their hairstyle. Don't assume that those with hair are upasakas or upasikas. That's not the case. Upasakas and upasikas refer to ordinary beings who have just taken refuge in the 3 jewels and observe the 5 precepts. They may occasionally observe the 8-branched one-day vow. These are the lay people we commonly refer to. Bodhisattvas who have attained the first ground, even if they have hair and wear lay clothing, are still part of the Sangha. Typically, bodhisattvas on the first ground or higher also wear shawls. For example, Milarepa wore a white shawl. He was not ordained and did not appear as a monk. The Buddha images we see all embody the middle way. The Buddha has some hair, but not much. He does not appear in the form of an arhat or a bodhisattva. Bodhisattvas in images typically have long hair. The Buddha is not bald but has hair. Why aren't Buddha images depicted with a shaved head? There is a profound message behind this. However, he doesn't have as much hair as bodhisattvas. Therefore, all manifestations of Buddhas and bodhisattvas carry profound meanings. Don't think that it's improper to prostrate to lay practitioners. Great masters who have attained enlightenment, such as Manjushri and Samantabhadra, manifest as Sangha members with hair. Bodhisattvas who have attained the first ground or higher are undoubtedly part of the Sangha. Additionally, there is another definition: as long as one has genuinely generated bodhicitta and taken the bodhisattva vows, one belongs to the Sangha. Of course, the bodhicitta must be genuine. Merely saying so insincerely or superficially doesn't count. Those who have generated bodhicitta from the heart and taken the bodhisattva vows, even if they haven't attained the first bodhisattva ground, can still be considered part of the Sangha and the three jewels. This is another way to define it.